Good morning, YouTube people. I am going to take you on a little tour this morning of the Homestead's garden and kind of show you what we've been doing. We moved in here 2 years ago, and the people that owned the home before us were the people, they were the ones that built the home, and they did a really fantastic job of putting the bones of the landscaping in, and so I'll just show you what we've kind of done and what we've added to it. And I'm sorry about the traffic. We actually do live out in the country, and but we live off of kind of a main road, and so at certain times of the day it gets a little bit louder than normal. And I tried to get out here earlier this morning, but it's Saturday morning. It's still like 8 o'clock. And any earlier than that, it didn't happen for me today. So, okay, so I'll just take you on a tour. We'll say good morning to Tommy, who is rolling around in the dirt, getting disgusting. All right, so as you walk out to our backyard, here's our garden, and we have this fence, kind of. Whoops, there's this fence that kind of comes right here, and it's just it's a temporary fencing right now until we decide what kind of a gate or what we want to do there. But it keeps keeps our dog out. We want kind of one area in our life that doesn't have dog stuff we have to clean up. So as you walk in, we have, let's see if I can widen this. Oh, no, that's close up. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this, when we moved in, was pretty bare. There were a couple of raised beds, I think, that were kind of in bad shape. So we took them out. And you know what? As I'm saying this video, I'm going to be saying we a lot. When I say we, just assume I mean my husband. I'm more of a I'm more of a consultant than somebody. You know, he really does most of the work out here. I'm inside with the kids or doing stuff with the kids, and he's kind of the gardener person. So I do harvest and I do the cooking with the stuff, but as far as the growing and the manual labor, that's pretty much all him. So anyway, we put in these raised garden beds, and we got these from Sam's Club. We just ordered them online with the membership that we still had from when we lived in Texas. And we got these, they're a composite, and they were a little bit, you know, I don't know if they were more expensive than if we'd bought lumber and made them ourselves. I do know that they're going to last a lot longer, and we're not going to have to mess with them for a while, which is nice. So as you walk around, over here we have an orchard. This was just a field when we moved in, and my husband put in 17 fruit trees. So there are several apples, there's cherries, pears, plums, a fig tree, I think that's it, pears, yeah. And so last year, not this last fall, the fall before last, these were just basically sticks in the ground. And you can see they have grown up really nice. Couple of things, he went out earlier this, like a few weeks ago, and picked off all of the fruit that was growing on them. Because they're still really young, he wanted to, he picked off all the fruit so that all the nutrients and everything would be going into the tree itself. And then next year, I think next year we'll be able to actually use the fruit that's coming off the trees. And then down below, you'll see, close in on this, all the trees have these little wire cages and rocks and stuff. This was for a couple of things. One, our chickens were destroying the trunks of the trees, and so he put the rocks around and stuff to try to keep them from doing that. But the rocks did not stop the voles from eating the trunks. So they're like a little, they're not a mole, they're like a mole, but they're like the size of a mouse. and they were just doing crazy, crazy damage to the trunks of the trees. So he put all those in. And then over here is our little chicken. Oh, and you know, we put this, and again, the husband, put this fence all along here. We had actually inherited some of the chickens when we moved in. But they were running, you know, they had free reign over the garden, which is fine, except that they were eating everything and getting into everything, and we knew we didn't want them doing that. So, anyway, he put up this fence. Hey, ladies! Hey, girls! I'm the one that gives them snacks, so when they see me coming, they think it's snack time. So, yeah, it's been I say it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work for him. Here, I'm going to grab them some treats real quick, because otherwise they get, I don't know, they may withhold their eggs from me if I don't do it. So this is our little garden shed that I'm getting into right now. It's cluttered. He cleaned it all out, and, you know, it's a shed, so it's going to get dirty and messy, but you hear them just squawking. So the little black one right here is Midnight. She's one of the ones we inherited. Hey girls, you want some worms? And the other two are Molly and Betsy, and they are our babies we got last spring. And they are very, very good layers. There you guys go. But this is their little chicken coop. It's just like a little, it's like actually like a traveling chicken coop. So if we wanted to, we could move it around the yard. We don't. We just leave it right there because it's nice in the shade for them during the summer. And, you know, we're probably going to build a more permanent, larger one there. So we can have more chickens, because it's kind of small. It only fits, I think it'll fit 6 or 7 chickens in there, but really only 5 comfortably. Our other 2 chickens we inherited have passed on. But yeah, I think we're going to put a more permanent one right over here, have a little more chickens, and then use this travel one. Still use that, but use that for when the babies are being moved from the inside of the house outside, you know, so we can still keep them contained until they're old enough to be around the bigger chickens. So, anyway, okay, so let's start the tour here, like officially really start it. So this little area right here, this is our spigot for the well, and this was just like, well, and please excuse, we have not mowed because we've had company, and the company was more important to us than the mowing of the yard. So it's kind of scraggly, but all of this was all like just weedy and gross. And so the husband put in this little stone wall and all these little rocks and stuff. Our neighbor has a ton of these, and he just was like, whatever you need, just come over, send the kids over, load up wheelbarrows and take what you want. So anyway, we loaded up the wheelbarrows and brought all these little stones in, and he put in this little bed for me, and it's got our little bird bath and, you know, and all that. And then this, he and I spent the morning yesterday together going around to area garage sales, and he's been wanting one of these, but they're kind of spendy. Anyway, he found this for a couple bucks at a yard sale and got it hooked up this morning, and it works perfectly. So, all right, so throughout the garden there's going to be little pots, and we're adding more, but all of these, pretty much all of these, that one, this one, that one, there's one tucked back here, those are all of our tomatoes. And we have big tomatoes, little tomatoes, you know, cherry tomatoes, like the chocolate kind and the yellow tomatoes. And then in the beds, here, I've got a little cheat sheet here so I don't forget everything. So in the beds, this is kind of what we've planted this year. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, marionberries, currants, lingonberries, tomatoes, regular and cherry, cucumbers, carrots, eggplant, zucchini, yellow squash, beets, green beans. What else here? On the green beans, we do like the green, we do yellow, we do purple, we do pole varieties. Peas, spinach, butter, lettuce, cabbage, asparagus, radishes, onions, white onions, red onions, scallions, We do garlic, shallots, leeks. So we do a lot of different things in here, and then he rotates a lot of, as one thing is done, he puts in the next thing, and then he also, the garden from last year, which was not as much as this, he rotates the crops, so the soil isn't using, we're not planting the same thing in the same soil from year to year, so he kind of has a little thing where he's going to keep track of where he plants stuff so he can rotate it. So these little trellises right here, there's one here, there's one in that wheelbarrow and that pot there, and then in all the tomato pots. These are from this hawthorn tree, which I'll show you later when we go over to that area. These were just branches he cut down and just made the trellises for the cucumbers and the tomatoes and stuff. So we have a lot of strawberry beds, and these are awesome because every morning for, I don't know, for like a week or two, we can come out here and pick over a pint of strawberries every morning to have with breakfast. These are my leeks, and there's some scallions over here. And then on here, he's made this trellis for all the peas, but inside, so it's kind of shaded a little bit more, is all of our lettuce for our salads. So it's really nice to be able to come out and just grab our lettuce for our salad for dinner at night. These beds here, these two beds, and these two beds are all different varieties of sunflowers. So when those grow up, I'll be able to make bouquets and stuff for inside the house. And he's been really sweet to me about putting in a lot of flowers. I love flowers in my house, and so he's been really nice about remembering to put different things in so that for cuttings. And then in underneath all this, he's put beans and something else. What is it? Beans for kind of a companion gardening. So as the sunflowers get big and stuff, the bush beans will grow underneath. So this bed right here is another, it's like a perennial bed for flowers for little bouquets I can do in the house. More strawberries. We have a lot of onions and stuff. I cook a lot with onion, like in my day-to-day dinner cooking, and so when these are mature, when we harvest all the onions, I chop them up. I chop them up and then I freeze them in 1 cup bags so that when I'm making dinner I can just pull out what I need for the recipe. So more strawberries and stuff over here, beets, cabbage. This, we don't know if this is going to work or not. We're trying to do asparagus, and I think you have to leave it alone for like 3 years before you can start actually using it, but we're not sure if these raised beds are actually deep enough to support that. So this is kind of an experiment. And then in here are just leftover herbs that we're getting too crazy in my herb garden, so we put them, again, he put them over here so they'd have a better chance. So along the fence line, we have, this was a goji berry plant that we just bought. We have, what is that, a gooseberry, and then currants, blueberry, currant, blueberry, and you can see like all along this fence line, we're at the very end of the peony season, and so those are all dying out. But that was so cool when we moved in. The peonies are my very, very favorite flower, and I wanted to plant a whole bunch, but that was kind of like phase 2 or phase 3 or phase 4 of what we were doing, and so it was really surprising the first spring that we were here to see that there were like, I don't know, like 15 or 17, something like that, peony plants that had already been put in by the previous owners. So these are all raspberries along this line here, and we left them in the pots because they're, they can be kind of invasive. So he just put them in big pots and then buried the pots in the grounds to kind of contain them a little bit. But like, last year when we put these in, these were like little tiny sticks, like this big, like as big as my finger. And so they're growing up really nicely. They've taken off just in the last couple weeks. And then right along here are Marionberries. and they're kind of a type of a blackberry that's kind of specific for this area. And then he was just telling me next year, I think in this area back behind here and stuff, we're going to put in some huckleberry bushes. This is like an old broken wheelbarrow, and we just did some kind of companion planting. So there's like cucumbers and a couple onions and some other stuff in there. And then blueberries, currant, more blueberries. And you can see, I mean, we're going to be, we're going to have a ton of blueberries this year. All of the bushes are just loaded. Mostly, I think, because we put that fence up to keep the chickens from eating all the blueberries. So these blueberries were all here. The currants and all that we put in. But the blueberry bushes, they weren't very healthy when we moved in. And again, I think that's because of the chickens. So those should, we should do well with those this year. So I'm going to walk around the fence here. We've tried to put stuff like kind of throughout our property, as far as the whole homesteading food thing goes, just trying things in different areas. So when we moved in, this whole area had the same kind of bark chip thing that this has, and it had a big play set. Our kids are older, and we just didn't think that we would use that play set very much at all. So we took all of the bark mulch out, and when I say we, I actually helped with this project, but we took all the bark mulch out and brought in pea gravel, and then we just put in a little fire pit area, and then we planted, these are called pink lemonades, and we planted them all around kind of the perimeter of this. They're a blueberry, but the berries are pink to kind of fool the birds, and then in the fall, the branches will be a red. But eventually this will grow up into like a 4-foot hedge all around this fire pit. And then we left an opening here. And I don't know, again, phase 2, phase 3, I don't know, when we can afford it, we're going to put in a big arbor entry thing right here. And then put, I don't know what we'll do up here, like climbing roses or grapes, or something along that arbor walkway. So here, obviously this was when we moved in. This is a great big ancient black walnut tree. And then back here is an English walnut tree. And they're, I don't even know how old these trees are, but they're very, very healthy and put out a lot of fruit. So I'm going to walk you back to our compost, which is not even a compost anymore because now we've turned it into another area for food. This brown spot right here, this horrible, ugly, nasty brown spot that never turns green, is where our septic tank is, and I don't know what we're going to do about that. I think, you know, we want to bring in more soil maybe and raise it up so we can have green grass, but my mom-in-law actually said you should just get one of those big rectangular picnic tables and have your picnic table on top of that so that it hides it. But then I don't know, because honestly sometimes it smells, so I don't know really if I want to be out here eating and have that. But you know, I don't know what we're going to do there. Here's my herb garden. It's right off the kitchen, and so this was just a scraggly nothing garden. I mean, this was like weeds. There was like a diseased rose bush in here. So we pulled all that out, and then there's just all my herbs that I use for cooking. A lot of them have flowered because I've been busy and I have not been out here doing what I should be doing. So I need to get out here and take a bunch of these out and dry them or freeze them or decide what I'm going to do with them. And then these two bushes here, or plants here, are Rose of Sharon's. So they've got tons of blooms. It won't be long now before those are just full of these really beautiful flowers. And then this is our empty. We have these around the yard, but they're suet. They're like a bird feeder thing. So, and the birds love them, and we can't keep up with them. So anyway, so that's my herb garden. I love it. I love being able to come out here and grab my fresh basil or parsley or oregano or sage or whatever I'm using, chives, and be able to use that fresh in my dinner cooking. So I do use it that way. I just have been really bad. There's so much of it, and I need to take care of that so that I can use it throughout the year. And she's just following me around, rolling around, meowing. She wants inside the house. So, and you can. The traffic is really bad this morning. For being Saturday morning, we've kind of gotten used to it. So this is another area. It's by our driveway. We put in this filbert tree. Filbert, we call it filbert. It's hazelnut, depending on where you live in the country. And so we're going to put in. We need to put in like 2 more of those. We need a male and a female first of all for it to pollinate. But we just want to add, like, just for the landscaping, we want to add a couple more in there. And then all along here. We haven't decided what we're going to do here. We've talked about different things. We've talked about nut trees, but we've also talked about putting in table grapes along there. We live around a lot of wineries, so we know the grapes will grow. We live around a lot of wineries, so I'm not interested in growing grapes to make wine, but it would be nice to have them just to go out there and pick off to eat. So this right here, when we moved in, was just a compost pile. And so we were adding our grass clippings and our weeds and all that stuff to it. And then last fall, a little over a year ago, it would be over a year ago, I had we had some, I know what it was. It was after Halloween. Or yeah, it was in the fall. We had some squash that had just gone bad. I just hadn't gotten to it in time. And so the husband just kind of tossed it out here in the compost. Well, then last fall, the squash like took off like crazy. This whole thing was just nothing but a great big squash bed. And you did not come over to my house without leaving with 10 pounds of squash. I think most of it was spaghetti squash. I think that was most of it was spaghetti squash. We still, in our garage, in the bins where it's nice and cool, we still have squash from last fall that we need to use up. So anyway, we decided, obviously this is a place where we can grow really good stuff. So this is our it's not our compost anymore. We've moved that behind, this is that hawthorn tree that he trimmed down and used all the branches from, and now it didn't even bloom the last 2 years we were here, the last 2 springs, or I guess it would be just last spring. Last spring it didn't bloom. He went in and like cleaned it all up and took out all the dead stuff and everything, and this year it was beautiful with blooms. I had so many blooms for inside the house, and it was just so pretty. So anyway, we realized this would be a good place to grow like the squash and all that. So in this bed, there's so much stuff planted in this small area. In the middle, there are 5 different kinds of potatoes. There's some sweet potatoes over here. There's this flowering thing. This is what radishes look like when you let them go and they just flower. So we actually just let that go on purpose because it looks so pretty. And we have a lot of radishes planted in the other garden, so it's not like we're short on radishes. And then what else is out there? There's some carrots out here too, because we had extra carrots from the garden. There are a ton of nasturtiums planted in here, and I use these. They're pretty, but also they're edible, the leaves and the flowers, so they're really pretty to add to your dinner salad. And then they kind of have like a little peppery taste to them. And then all around here, and I'm not going to walk around because I don't want, it'll take me, the video is already way too long as it is, but as you walk around, there are butternut squash, acorn squash, zucchini, yellow squash, and then we have our pumpkins for the fall. We have these are jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, so the kids and our nieces and nephews and stuff will be able to come out and pick their pumpkins. There's jack-o'-lantern squashes. There's sugar pumpkins for making pies. There are white pumpkins. There are the Cinderella fairy tale pumpkins. that I use just like on the front porch for fall decorating and stuff. And so yeah, there's just like there's just a ton of stuff in here, and we're just letting it go. Everything looks really healthy. These potatoes are this stuff is starting to yellow, but I think that it's because it means you can actually start harvesting and digging them up now. And then he just put in this little thing right here. We're trying to get a black-eyed Susan vine to grow up just to add some more color to this area. So yeah, that's our homestead this year. It's been a lot of work. It's been, we're trying to keep the expense down. We've started a lot of things by seed instead of buying plants. And that has worked for some things. It hasn't worked for others. We have, as far as watering goes, we have a sprinkler system throughout the yard for the grass. We do not have a sprinkler system in the garden or for this area. So the garden and this area, the orchard, all has to be hand watered. That's something, you know, down the road in another stage of our planning here. Unfortunately, while the husband makes good money, he does not make as much money as I sometimes think he does. So things have to be done in stages, and you know, and so that's one of those expenses that is kind of down the road. So we go out, you know, we hand water in the morning, sometimes hand water at night. We have a well, so we're not paying the city for our water. And then as far as the orchard goes, because they're newer trees, those get heavy water. I think about like once a week. We just like really soak those, because you know, it makes the roots, it forces the roots to go down and get, you know, healthy roots, so they're not shallow. And yeah, you know, it rains a lot here, but in the summer we have really nice summers, and so it's the watering thing can get tiresome, having to go out and hand water everything. But so far we're making everything live, and you know, I can't tell you how nice it is to come out. Like you know, we're gonna have like a pea and potato salad, and being able to come out and get our potatoes and get our peas from the garden, and you know, to have eggs in the morning for breakfast, and be able to make our salads and all that kind of stuff. And all the beans, we'll pick those and eat those fresh, but then we'll also blanch and freeze some of them. Someday I hope to have enough where I have enough to do an actual batch for canning. Right now we go to like for green beans, there's a U-Pick farm thing where we can go and buy them in bulk and then can them that way. But the berries, we still have berries in our freezer from last year, you know, for smoothies and that kind of stuff, and pies. So it's just lovely to have all that. And you know, if you're able to just do, even if you're able to just do a container gardening on your back patio, it's worth it just to have that fresh food. Just for it's kind of a special treat to not have to go to the grocery store. And the other thing too is we do everything organic, so we know that there isn't. We know what we're eating is actual food, and it's not full of chemicals and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please just put them in the comments below and I will answer them. And thank you for watching. Sorry it was so long, but thank you for sticking with me. All right.